Ladies and gentlemen, consistency is the thing people love to overlook because it doesn't come with fireworks. Because it doesn't come with fireworks. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not something you can screenshot and show your friends for validation. But let me tell you something real. Consistency is where truth lives. Anybody can show up once. Anybody can say the right words in a moment. Anybody can make you feel special for a night, maybe even a week. But can they do it again and again and again and without you having to remind them, chase them, or question them? You see, when a man is serious about you, his presence in your life is not a surprise. You don't wake up wondering if today is the day he's going to disappear. You don't go to sleep feeling anxious because he suddenly went quiet. His energy doesn't swing from hot to cold like a broken thermostat. Instead, it stays steady, it stays reliable, it stays predictable in the best way possible. And a lot of people confuse predictable with boring. But let me clear that up. There's nothing boring about peace of mind, because when a man is inconsistent, he puts you on an emotional roller coaster. One day he's all in, texting you, calling you, making plans, making you feel like you're the only woman in the world. The next day, he's distant, distracted, unavailable. Now you're sitting there trying to figure out what changed. You start replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you said something wrong. You start questioning yourself instead of questioning his behavior. And that's where the problem begins. A man who is serious does not make you feel like you have to earn his attention over and over again. He doesn't treat your presence like something optional. When he says he's going to call, he calls. When he says he's going to see you, he shows up. And not just when it's convenient for him, not just when he's bored, not just when everything else in his life is handled. No, he shows up because you matter. And when you matter, you are not squeezed into the leftovers of someone's time. Inconsistency often comes wrapped in charm. That's what makes it dangerous. Because when he does show up, he shows up strong. He says all the right things, does all the right things, and for a moment it feels perfect. That moment keeps you holding on. It keeps you hoping that maybe this time it's going to stay like this, but hope without evidence is a trap. You can't build a future on occasional effort. You can't build trust on unpredictable behavior. And you definitely can't build love on a foundation that keeps shaking every few days. Let's be honest about something. People do what they want to do, not what they say they're going to do, not what they promise in emotional moments, but what they consistently do over time. So if a man keeps showing you inconsistency, that is not confusion. That is not him figuring things out. That is a pattern. And patterns tell the truth louder than words ever will. A serious man understands that consistency is a form of respect. It's him saying, without even having to speak, that you are important enough for him to be present in a stable, reliable way. He knows that your time is valuable. He knows your emotions are not something to play with. So he doesn't come in and out of your life like a revolving door. He plants himself there with intention. Now, here's where a lot of people get it wrong. They think if they just give him more time, more patience, more understanding, eventually he will become consistent. But consistency is not something you beg for. It's not something you teach. It's something a man chooses to give when he has decided that you are a priority in his life. If he hasn't made that decision, no amount of waiting is going to force it. And every time you accept inconsistency, you're sending a message. You're saying, this is okay. You can come and go as you please, and I'll still be here. And people will treat you based on what you allow, not what you say you want. not what you hope for, but what you tolerate on a daily basis. Consistency also shows emotional maturity. It shows discipline. It shows that a man is not just driven by feelings in the moment, but by intention and purpose. Because feelings can change, moods can shift, life can get busy, but a serious man doesn't let that become an excuse to disappear. He communicates, he adjusts, he stays connected in a way that reassures you, not confuses you. You should never have to ask yourself, does he really like me? When you're dealing with a consistent man, you should never have to decode mixed signals or read between the lines. His actions speak clearly, and clarity is a form of security. It allows you to relax, to be yourself, to invest emotionally without fear that everything is going to fall apart the next day. When you're dealing with inconsistency, you are always on edge. You can't fully open up because you don't know if he's going to be there tomorrow. You can't fully trust because his behavior keeps changing. And over time, that drains you. It makes you question your worth, your judgment, your expectations. But let me make something very clear. Someone else's inconsistency is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their priorities. And if you are not being treated like a priority, then you are being treated like an option. A serious man removes that doubt. He doesn't leave you guessing. He doesn't leave you hanging. He doesn't leave you chasing after something that should be given freely. His consistency becomes the standard, not the exception. And once you experience that kind of steady presence, you realize how exhausting inconsistency really was. Clarity is something people avoid when they want to keep their options open. It's easy to stay in the gray area because the gray area comes with benefits and no responsibility. You get the attention, the connection, the emotional support, maybe even the physical closeness without ever having to stand up and say what this really is. And a lot of people fall into that space thinking that eventually clarity will come on its own. But the truth is, clarity doesn't just happen. It is given intentionally by someone who knows what they want. When a man is serious about you, he is not afraid to define what you are to him. He doesn't hesitate when it comes to labeling the relationship, not because labels are everything, but because clarity is respect. It's him making sure you are not left guessing, not left assuming, not left trying to figure out where you stand based on how he acts on any given day. He understands that if you matter, then your peace of mind matters too. A man who is serious doesn't hide behind phrases like, let's go with the flow. I don't like labels for months while still expecting you to act like you're in a committed relationship. That's not confusion, that's convenience. That's someone enjoying all the benefits of your presence without stepping into the responsibility that comes with it. And the longer you stay in that undefined space, the easier it becomes for him to keep things exactly where they are. Because here's the reality: when someone truly values you, they don't risk losing you by being vague. They don't gamble with your feelings by keeping things unclear. They step up and make it known because they understand that clarity creates security, and security is what allows something real to grow. Without clarity, everything stays temporary, everything stays uncertain, everything stays 1 foot in and 1 foot out. A lot of people confuse time with progress. They think just because they have been talking to someone for months, that automatically means things are moving forward. But time without clarity is just time wasted. You can spend a year in confusion and still not be any closer to a real relationship than you were on day one, because progress is not measured by how long you've been around someone is measured by how clearly they have defined their place in your life. A man who is serious will not make you initiate every conversation about the future. He won't make you feel like you're asking for too much just because you want to understand what this connection is. Instead, he will lead that conversation. He will make it clear without why. Oh, having to push without you having to pull it out of him. Because when a man knows, he knows. And when he knows, he speaks on it now. That doesn't mean everything has to be rushed or forced. But there is a difference between taking your time and wasting someone's time. Taking your time still comes with direction. It still comes with intention. It still comes with honest communication about where things are going. Wasting time, on the other hand, comes with excuses, avoidance, and a constant shifting of the conversation whenever it starts getting real. And let's talk about that avoidance, because it shows up in subtle ways. You bring up the topic of, what are we? And suddenly he changes the subject. You ask where he sees this going, and he gives you a vague answer that sounds nice but says nothing at the same time. You try to get clarity, and he makes you feel like you're pressuring him or moving too fast. That's not you doing too much. That's him doing too little. Clarity is not pressure. Clarity is basic respect. It's the foundation of any meaningful connection, because without it, you are building on assumptions, and assumptions are dangerous. They make you believe something is more than it actually is. They make you invest more than you should. And by the time reality shows up, you've already given so much of yourself to something that was never clearly defined. A serious man doesn't leave room for assumptions. He replaces them with understanding. He tells you what you are to him, and more importantly, he shows it through his actions. His words and his behavior align in a way that makes you feel secure, not confused. You don't have to question whether you're the only one. You don't have to wonder if he's still keeping his options open. You don't have to guess if he's fully invested or just passing time. And when a man avoids clarity, it often has nothing to do with timing and everything to do with intention. Because if he wanted a relationship with you, he would make that known. He wouldn't risk you walking away by staying silent. He wouldn't risk losing you to someone else by keeping things undefined. People protect what they value, and they secure what they don't want to lose. You have to pay attention not just to what a man says, but to what he refuses to say, because silence can speak just as loudly as words. If months go by and he still hasn't clearly expressed what this is, that silence is telling you something. If every attempt at clarity is met with deflection, that deflection is giving you an answer, even if it's not the one you want to hear. And the most important thing to understand is that you should never have to shrink your expectations just to keep someone in your life. Wanting clarity is not asking for too much. Wanting to know where you stand is not being needy. It is a basic requirement for any healthy connection. And the right person will not make you feel guilty for asking for something that should already be given. A man who is serious brings clarity into your life, not confusion. He replaces doubt with understanding, hesitation with direction, and uncertainty with confidence. And when that clarity is present, you feel it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to question it. You don't have to fight for it. Effort is one of the clearest indicators of how someone truly feels about you, because it requires intention, energy, and choice. Words are easy. Promises are easy. Even feelings can be easy in the moment. but effort. That takes something real. Effort means a person is willing to invest their time, their focus, and their actions into maintaining and growing a connection. And when a man is serious about you, that effort is not occasional, it's consistent, intentional, and undeniable. A lot of debt. Then people get caught up in listening to what a man says instead of watching what he does. He tells you he cares. He tells you he misses you. He tells you he's busy, but you're important to him. And those words can sound good. They can feel comforting in the moment. But if they're not backed up by effort, then they are empty. Because real interest shows up in behavior, not just in conversation. When a man values you, you don't have to chase his attention. You don't have to send multiple messages just to get one reply. You don't have to wonder why he can spend hours on his phone, but somehow can't find a few seconds to check in with you. Effort means he makes you a part of his day, not an afterthought at the end of it. It means he reaches out. He follows up. He stays engaged because he wants to, not because he feels obligated. Effort also shows in how he plans things with you. A man who is serious doesn't leave everything up in the air. He doesn't always say, "We'll see," or "maybe," when it comes to spending time together. He takes initiative. He makes plans. And more importantly, he follows through on those plans. You're not sitting there waiting to see if he's going to cancel last minute or disappear altogether. His actions give you a sense of reliability, and that reliability builds trust over time. You should never feel like you are competing for a man's attention when he claims to care about you. Yes, people have responsibilities, they have work, they have friends, they have their own lives. But when a man is serious, he knows how to prioritize. He knows how to create space for you within his life in a way that feels natural and balanced. You are not fighting for a spot. You are already placed where you belong. One-sided effort is. One of the most exhausting things you can experience in any connection. It drains you emotionally because you are constantly giving, mentally trying, constantly hoping that your energy will be matched. You find yourself initiating every conversation, making every plan, carrying the weight of keeping things alive. And after a while, it starts to feel like you are the only one who actually cares whether this connection continues or not. A man who is serious does not put you in that position. He meets you where you are. He matches your energy. If you show up with care, he responds with care. If you invest time, he invests time. There is a balance that feels natural, not forced. You're not overextending yourself just to keep his attention, because his attention is already there. Effort is also about the little things, not just the big gestures. It's not always about grand plans or expensive dates. It's about consistency in the small actions. Checking in on you, remembering things you told him, asking about your day, being present when you're talking. These small moments build something meaningful over time. These small moments build something meaningful over time because they show that he is paying attention, that he values the connection enough to stay engaged in it. When effort is lacking, excuses start to take its place. I've been busy. I've had a lot going on. I'm just not good at texting. And while life can get busy, the truth is people make time for what matters to them. Effort doesn't require perfection, but it does require intention. Even in a busy life, a man who is serious will find ways to show you that you matter. It may not always look the same every day, but it will always be present in some form. You have to be careful not to confuse potential with reality. You might see glimpses of effort from time to time, moments where he steps up and shows you what he could be like. But potential is not the same as consistency. You cannot build a relationship on what someone could do. You can only build it on what they consistently choose to do. And if the effort only shows up occasionally, then that is not a foundation. That is a temporary moment. Effort also reflects emotional availability. A man who is serious is willing to show up not just physically, but emotionally. He engages in conversations that matter. He listens. He responds. He doesn't shut down or disappear when things require a little depth. He leans in because he understands that real connection requires more than surface level interaction. When effort is real, you feel secure. You feel valued. You feel seen. You're not constantly questioning where you stand because his actions are answering that question every day. There is a sense of ease that comes with being with someone who is genuinely trying because you're not carrying the relationship on your own shoulders. But when effort is missing, everything starts to feel uncertain. You overthink. You analyze. You try to make sense of behavior that doesn't make sense. And in that process, you can start lowering your standards just to keep the connection alive. You start accepting less than what you truly deserve, convincing yourself that maybe this is just how things are. A man who is serious will never make you feel like you have to settle for scraps of attention. He won't give you the bare minimum and expect you to be grateful for it. He understands your value, and his effort reflects that understanding. It shows in how he treats you, how he speaks to you, how he shows up for you. Day after day, at the end of the day, effort is a choice. It's not about capability. It's about willingness. And when a man is willing, you don't have to question it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to beg for it. There's a difference between being private and being hidden, and too many people confuse the two because they want to believe there's a good reason for why they are kept out of sight. Privacy is natural. Privacy is healthy. Not everything needs to be shared with the world, but being hidden is something else entirely. Being hidden means you exist in someone's life, only in the shadows, only in the moments that are convenient, only in spaces where no one else can see or question what's really going on. When a man is serious about you, he does not treat you like a secret he needs to protect from the world. He treats you like someone he is proud to have in his life. There is a confidence in how he shows up with you, a willingness to let people know that you matter to him. He doesn't hesitate when it comes to introducing you to the important people in his life because he understands that if you are going to be a part of his future, when you should not be absent from his present. A man who is serious wants integration, not separation, not separation. He doesn't build a separate world where you exist in isolation from everything else. Instead, he gradually brings you into his reality. You meet his friends. You become familiar with the spaces he moves in. You acknowledge in a way that makes your place in his life clear. It doesn't feel forced or staged. It feels natural because it is coming from a place of genuine intentio. Then, when a man keeps you hidden, it often comes with explanations that sound reasonable on the surface. He might say he wants to keep things low key, or that he's not ready for people to be in his business, or that he's just a private person. And while those words can sound valid, you have to look at the pattern behind them. Because if months go by and you are still absent from every meaningful part of his public life, then what you're dealing with is not privacy. It's avoidance. A serious man does not fear being seen with you. He does not worry about what people will think to the point where he keeps you at a distance. Instead, he embraces the fact that you are part of his life. He introduces you with pride, not hesitation. He acknowledges you in conversations, not just in private moments. There is a sense of ownership, not in a controlling way, but in a way that shows he is not trying to keep his options open or present himself as available to others. You should never feel like you have to ask, why haven't I met anyone important in your life yet? That question alone is a sign that something is missing. Because when a man is serious, that process happens naturally over time. It may not be immediate, but there's progress. There is movement. There is a clear shift from you being someone he is getting to know to someone he is integrating into his world. Being hidden also shows up in smaller, more subtle ways. It's not just about meeting friends or family. It's about how he behaves in public settings. Does he act differently when other people are around? Does he create distance between you when you're out together? Does he avoid situations where your connection might be noticed or questioned? These small actions reveal a bigger truth about how he sees the relationship. A man who is serious is consistent in private and in public. There is no switch that turns off. When other people enter the picture, the same energy, the same respect, the same attention you receive behind closed doors is the same energy you receive in the open. You don't feel like you have to shrink yourself or play a different role depending on who is around. When a man is not willing to claim you publicly, it often means he is leaving room for something else. He may not say it directly, but his actions suggest that he wants to maintain a certain image, a certain level of availability, or a certain level of control over how he is perceived by others. And that comes at the cost of your visibility in his life. You deserve to be with someone who is not afraid to let the world know that you are important to them, not for validation, not for show, but because it reflects how they truly feel. When someone values you, they don't minimize your presence. They don't tuck you away. They don't act like your connection is something that needs to be managed quietly so it doesn't interfere with other parts of their life. A serious man understands that claiming you publicly is part of building something real. It's part of creating a shared reality where both people are acknowledged, respected, and valued. It's not about posting on social media or making grand announcements. It's about consistency and how he includes you in his life and how he allows others to see that inclusion. And when that willingness is missing, it creates a sense of doubt that is hard to ignore. You start to wonder why you are being kept separate. You start to question whether you truly have a place in his life or if you are just filling a temporary role. That uncertainty can slowly erode your confidence, making you feel like you have to earn a level of recognition that should already be given. A man who is serious removes that doubt by being open, by being clear, by being consistent in how he shows up with you in every environment. He doesn't make you feel like you are too much to be seen or not enough to be acknowledged. He stands beside you in a way that makes your place in his life undeniable, because at the end of the day, someone who truly values you does not hide you. They don't push you into the background. They don't keep you in a space where your presence is conditional or limited. They bring you forward. They include you. They make it clear through their actions that you are a part of their world in a real, invisible way.